Now, Gauteng Health Department has confirmed that Catherine Majid, a Malawian national, passed away in hospital last night. She was one of the residents who was in the building in Marshalltown, central Johannesburg, when it was engulfed in flames. The death toll has now climbed to 77. Some of the 76 people who died were laid to rest last night. This is in line with Muslim faith laws. Now, 9 bodies that were positively identified were claimed by their loved ones for burials.
Coming to terms with their loss, families who could positively identify and claim the remains of their loved ones prepared for immediate funeral proceedings.
I got 6 people, but we find also our friend also who got 3 people, so like we are 9, others were like 5 years.
But others are still in the dark.
Like now, I doesn't know anything what it was happening because I living at Louis Lishadi, so far for me. So is my cousin phoning me to say the flat that your mother was staying now is burning, so you can come to check your family.
Around the corner from the gutted building, a crowd descended to support bereaved families. Most of them were Malawian citizens who gathered in large numbers for the funerals.
They are not here for for anything else, but they are here for solidarity, to give hand for their loved ones.
We as a humanitarian organization, we provide holistic assistance and help for people that are in need. One part of it, yes, is the burial and so on. And of course, with that is the immediate needs of those that have become homeless.
NGOs and churches also lend a helping hand.
It's heart-wrenching. It's, to see what has happened. It's not just that death occurred, but it's the way that occurred. If you stand in front of the building when I was here yesterday morning, you can just imagine when you see the things hanging out the windows, you see the burglar bars, and just imagine what the people went through.
They must not give up on what they're supposed to do because their loved ones need to be buried with dignity.
A somber mood as the mourners left for the funerals. Others called for urgent interventions before a similar tragedy strikes again. Some heeded the call. Officials started demolishing shacks at other buildings deemed as safety hazards, with police on high alert.
The building is handed over to us. We have a team of fire experts who are hard at work there. They are supported by our crime scene management team from our police headquarters. They are here. And we also have another team which is working with the pathologists there at the Kloof Mortuary. They are doing their part also to can assist. But what we also appreciate is that they've also mobilized different embassies from SADC countries to can also come and work with us.
DNA testing continues to identify the rest of the mortal remains. The Malawian embassy also helping to ease the process. Meanwhile, many survivors remain at the shelters around Johannesburg, while 33 people are still in hospital. Patricia Fasahi, SABC News in Johannesburg.
We stay with that story for you. It's been 3 days since the fire in the Johannesburg CBD, and many families, mostly Malawian, are still frantically searching for the remains of their loved ones who died in the fire. SABC News reporter Hasina Gori joins us live now on the rising death toll. She also speaks to us about one of the funerals she attended last night. Hasina, thank you so much for your time. So let's start off with the funeral that took place last night, as we can see with the footage of the night funeral as well. Do we know which family this is and where they are from?
Good morning, Kolisi. And yes, as you mentioned, there was the first funeral of one of the victims of the Thursday's fire in Marshalltown in the inner city of Johannesburg. This specific deceased was a female. She was 25 years of age. Her name was Laika Banda. According to her family, who we spoke to, earlier in that evening, before the body was removed from this mortuary and taken to a center for the bathing and shrouding of the deceased and then the burial at the cemetery, they mentioned that they had lost 2 of their loved ones, 2 sisters, in that fire. According to the brother, Laika had come from Malawi just over 2 months ago. She had just been separated and had divorced from her husband, and she had 2 young children, and she had moved to South Africa to come here for economic prospects, and She is one of the deceased. Her sister, unfortunately, also lost her life, but she was unable to be laid to rest yesterday. According to the family and pathologists, there seems to be some confusion when it comes to the identity of the second deceased. According to the family, this specific body had been claimed by two different families from two different nationalities. So this has caused some kind of a confusion, and now more tests and more documentations will be needed to ascertain the actual identity of that body and for the right family to be given their loved ones' remains to bury. So this is the specific funeral that took place last night. It was the first funeral of one of the victims. They were laid to rest according to Muslim rites, and these were just some of the 9 or 10 bodies that had been identified by families that had been gathered here throughout the day yesterday at the Diepkloof mortuary. They even brought in the consulate of Malawi to assist those that are living in this country and had been affected by this incident, and hopefully today they are going to be able to, retrieve and collect their family bodies and give them their final rites as well.
Tragedy, I tell you, Hasina. So how many families have conducted funerals thus far? And also, how many more families are still hoping to identify their loved ones, especially with the death toll that continues to rise?
Golisi, I'm struggling to hear you in studio. But I'll just give you a sense of what is happening here today. We are still outside the Diepkloof mortuary, where this morning we've seen a little less families. There's few that are trickling in. Those that are of Malawian nationals, they were here yesterday, but today we're seeing local South Africans. I spoke with two ladies earlier today, one from Attridgeville, Pretoria, a mother who had come to this mortuary in hopes of finding her son. She said that she was here, through the last few days. She's been unable to, collect or even identify her son's body. Apparently, he's a 39-year-old who had been living in that building from 2018, and they said that had never really visited him inside. They'd just been outside the building where he said he resided inside. According to the family, they believed he was living in the 4th floor. The mother described how she was shown pictures, of some of the deceased, and we've been told that at least 62 of those that passed on in that fire have been burnt beyond recognition. She said that many of them, it's really hard to even identify, any features of theirs and really decide, be able to say with confirmation that this is my loved one, and these are their pictures, and this is who the deceased is now. So these, she was quite emotional, saying they're still waiting. They came here today. I'm going to step out of shot once again. We're seeing the embassy officials of Malawi once again coming in here. Her Excellency Stella Ndau, the High Commissioner of the Malawian Consulate, was here yesterday. This is her vehicle. She's just entering once again here today. Yesterday she was here to assist with those foreign nationals, specifically from Malawi, who have been trying to reclaim their loved ones' bodies, and they've been having, some concerns, and we've heard, concerns from some of the foreign nationals that they may not have the correct paperwork with them, that their identification could have been lost during that fire, and that their fears of, deportation back to their country or being arrested. So the consulate was called in to assist them. They're hoping today, once again, that they'll get some answers. Many of those, specifically the Malawian deceased, are Muslim, and according to Islamic rites, there's a specific time frame for the bodies to be buried in. That time frame has lapsed. It was 24 to 72 hours. We're almost at 72 hours, but they have said that they are working with government, and once the bodies are released, they will speedily then work with ensuring that their loved ones are given the proper send-off that they are ascribed to. We've seen the different burial societies, specifically from the Muslim community here, waiting to assist those that may need their assistance when it comes to laying their loved ones to rest. So these are the scenes you're seeing here outside the Diepkloof mortuary this morning. We're speaking with various different families. There's a lot of frustration, a lot of emotions. It is almost, more than 72 hours. Many of them woken up on Thursday morning hearing that their loved ones' building that they had been residing in had set on fire. Many saying that they'd been watching the news and saw the death tolls arising, and that panic, and now they even haven't had a chance to even begin grieving or mourning, as they're now just trying to pick the pieces up, identify their families. Some are still looking for their loved ones. We spoke with many families yesterday saying they don't know whether their loved ones have passed on or that they are in hospital and burnt beyond recognition, and unable to be located. So these are just some of the accounts that we're hearing from families of the victims. But for now, back to you in studio, Kolisi.
Hasina, thank you so much for that update. That's Hasina Gori out there on that story for us.